What's going on, everyone? So in today's video, we're going to be going over basically what exactly needs to happen and all the possible combinations for the Green Bay Packers to make the playoffs. Now, let me start off by saying this is an extreme long shot. As it sits, most sites have the Green Bay Packers at around a 3 to 4% chance of making the playoffs, and it is way out of their own control. A lot more has to happen other than the Green Bay Packers winning out, which they 100% need to do to start with. The Green Bay Packers currently sit third in the NFC North at 5-8, one below the Detroit Lions with one less loss at 5-7. If we take a look at the current NFC playoff seeding, obviously we see Philadelphia Eagles with the first seed here. They're 11-1. The second seed, the Minnesota Vikings, who are going to win the NFC North at 10-2. Then we see the third seed right now is the San Francisco 49ers at 8-4 on a nice hot streak so far. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the fourth seed at 5-6. That division is so bad, Tom Brady's likely going to make the playoffs, win the division with a similar record to the Green Bay Packers when they'll likely miss the playoffs. Then we see the Dallas Cowboys. They're the fifth seed at 9-3. The New York Giants, the sixth seed at 7-4-1. And as of right now, due to the games yesterday, Seattle is now the seventh seed at 7-5 and not the Commanders. So the Giants and Commanders tying yesterday actually kind of helped the Packers in some ways because the Giants and the Commanders both beat the Packers. Therefore, they would have the tiebreaker if they end up with the same record. And it pretty much removes the whole tiebreaker thing because unless the Packers tie, they won't end up having the same record as either the Giants or the Commanders. But either way, one of the Giants or Seattle or the Commanders are going to have to lose a decent amount of games in the remainder of this season. Because before yesterday, 4 teams in the NFC East were making the playoffs. Right now, it's Seattle because they're 7-5 and the Commanders are 7-5-1. So therefore, Seattle does indeed have the better record. Obviously, a lot can change, but that's crazy to think that as of yesterday, 4 teams out of the NFC East were going to make the playoffs. And this is all based on the fact that the Green Bay Packers win their remaining 4 games, which is going to be a challenge in itself. Yes, they just went into Chicago and beat the Bears yesterday, but it was a closer game than it should have been. The Bears are not a good football team, and the Packers typically always beat them. So the Green Bay Packers have a bye coming up, and things can change. But after the bye, Monday Night Football in Lambeau against the Rams. The Rams are also a dumpster fire. I know this year, every time you go, oh, that should be an easy win, it hasn't been the case. But I do believe this should be an easy win. Then after that, they head to Miami and play the Dolphins. So this is going to be a hard game. Now, the Dolphins did just lose yesterday to the 49ers, but the 49ers are really hot right now, and the Dolphins are a really good team as well. That's going to be, the make or break type game, in my opinion, because in any scenario, the Packers have to win out. They have to win these remaining 4 games. Then they go back to Lambeau and play the division-leading Minnesota Vikings, who have a really good record on the year, but a lot of analytical stats kind of show that they aren't as good as a team as the record shows, but hey, they're still winning games. So that's going to be a hard game as well. Then they finish in Lambeau against the Lions. So let's just say that the Packers win all 4 of these games, and let's not take into account anything else that happens in the NFL. If that's the case, the Green Bay Packers still only have a 33% chance to make the playoffs, and that's in a wildcard spot, a 67% chance to not make the playoffs. As for this upcoming week, the Packers have a bye week. So I reset the games. The Packers technically didn't win the next 4 games, so that hasn't happened yet. If we're looking at week 14 and the games, you're going to be, interested and rooting for certain teams, one of which is the Philadelphia Eagles. If the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Giants, which they should, that moves the Packers up to a 4% chance to make the playoffs. And these are small little victories, but you basically want the Giants to lose, you want the Seahawks to lose, you want the Commanders to lose. And that goes on to the next game in week 14. The second most important game is the Panthers at Seahawks. Seahawks are playing good under Geno Smith. The Panthers are not playing good. They just cut Baker Mayfield. Sam Darnold's going to be their starting quarterback this week. Can he maybe sneak out a win in Seattle? Not looking like so, but anything can happen any given Sunday. If the Panthers were to win Sunday with the Eagles, that moves the Packers up to a 6% chance. Now moving to week 15, given that the Packers do beat the Rams, they'll be all the way up to a 9% chance to make the playoffs. And then we want the 49ers to beat the Seahawks. So basically what we're having here is the Seahawks losing games, which they're a really good team. No one expected this going into this year. After the Russell Wilson trade, the Denver Broncos pretty much giving all of their draft capital to the Seattle Seahawks, we kind of thought, okay, Denver will be the team that Seattle is right now, and Seattle would be the team that Denver is right now. It's been the complete opposite. Hats off to Geno Smith, who's been playing really well. but they're going to have to take a slide for the Packers to make the playoffs. So if the 49ers were to beat the Seahawks in week 15, that would bring the Packers up to a 11% chance to make the playoffs with a win. Now moving on to week 16, if the Packers win, that will bring them all the way up to 25% chance to make the playoffs. And there's 3 more games this week that would slightly help the Packers. First of which, you want the Chiefs to beat the Seahawks. So again, we kind of just want the Seahawks to lose every game remaining. And this is the first one that actually could happen. Then next, we have the Vikings at the Giants. Surprisingly, you want the Giants to lose here. You want the Vikings to win. That's just because the Vikings are going to win the NFC North. There's no real question at that. So the Vikings winning there will bring the Packers up to 30%. Then we have the 49ers playing the Commanders. So like I said earlier, you want the Commanders to lose. If the 49ers do indeed beat the Commanders in week 16. Now the Packers are at a 32% chance. So as of right now, you kind of get the gist. A lot is going to have to happen, but nonetheless, it can. All right, now to move to week 17. Let's say the Packers beat the Vikings. They're on a hot streak. They are now above a coin flip chance at making the playoffs. They're at a 55%. Then we want the Colts to beat the Giants, and that's going to be a hard one at that. If the Colts end up beating the Giants, we're at 64%. Then we want the Browns to beat the Commanders. That's not much of a difference. It doesn't really matter as much, but if the Browns were to beat the Commanders there, the Packers are now up to a 66% chance to make the playoffs. So let's just say all of this happens, which 99% of the chance it is definitely not going to happen. But let's just say it does. Week 18, the Packers play the Lions. If they were to win that game, they have a 99+% chance of making the playoffs. So basically, a lot has to happen more than just the Green Bay Packers winning the remaining 4 games, which, like I said earlier, is going to be a problem in itself. So as I was saying earlier, and we went through all these percentage changes and whatnot, the main thing you're going to want to take away from this is you want the New York Giants to lose, you want the Washington Commanders to lose, and you want the Seattle Seahawks to lose. Now, not all 3 of those have to lose out by any means, but nonetheless, every week, you want them to lose. But yeah, those are basically the only ways that the Green Bay Packers could end up making the playoffs. Now, do I think this will happen? Me personally, no, I do not. I think what will happen is the Packers may win 3 or 4 games, and everything else won't go their way, and they'll end up missing the playoffs, and then they'll end up having a middle-of-the-pack draft pick, which is a lose-lose situation. If the Packers are going to miss the playoffs, I want them to have a top 10 pick. I don't remember the last time they had a top 10 pick. It might have been A.J. Hawk in 06 or B.J. Raji in 09, I believe it was. But nonetheless, if the Packers are going to miss the playoffs, I want them to have a good draft pick. But hey, it's out of their control. So right now, you just go out to win the game. And what else happens, happens. But that about does it for this video. If you did enjoy this, please leave a like down below. And also, if you are new here and want more Packers news analysis and updates every single day, go down, hit that subscribe button, and turn on post notifications. But I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. And as always, go Pack Go.